To keep everybody in their places, Louis turned his life into a kind of public spectacle. Every minute of every day was filled with these weird rituals, some of them quite ridiculous, which all the courtiers had to follow, as if it were a religion.
All the noblemen at court are required to present themselves at the appointed hour.
Dukes before marquises, I believe.
I'm the Duke. Only a few, however, will be given the privilege of entering, observing, and in some cases participating.
Taking part in Louis's daily routines was a strictly controlled business. Only a chosen elite could share in his more intimate moments. The most important ceremony was the king's levee, his rising in the morning. It was as essential to life at Versailles as the rising of the sun.
At 8 o'clock sharp, the curtains of the state bed were drawn back to reveal the king. He may not have slept here, but he had to get back in time. And then he was greeted by his valet.
Good morning.
Next, in came the king's physician to check him over. His chamber pot was carried out, and this is really nice. In came the king's nurse that he'd had since he was a child to give him his good morning kiss.
Then came the privileged few who had the right to attend what was known as the Grande Entrée. They were all high-born nobles, and they helped the king into his shirt. It sounds menial, but it was a huge honour.
All you do is designed to be seen and admired. Dressing, shaving, drinking, and eating. They are no longer actions, but a performance. Everything you do is a display of wealth, authority, harmony, and modesty. And last, but by no means least, piety.
Louis thought of himself as a god, and now he was worshipped like one. Even the most powerful nobles were forced to bow and scrape. Observing Louis's strict daily routine could reap rewards. The clockwork timing of Louis's day meant that courtiers always knew exactly where the king was and what he was doing. And that meant they could engineer meetings with him, opportunities to ask for the favours that only the king could give. Like other monarchs, the king had the power to transform a courtier's fortunes. But Louis had his own special criteria for granting requests. As Louis progressed for mass, courtiers would line his route, pressing on either side, desperate for a word in the king's ear. If they succeeded in catching his attention, they might ask a favour for a friend.
But if Louis thought that that particular nobleman hadn't spent enough time at Versailles, he'd turn the request down with the words, "We never see him. I don't know him." It was as if that noble had never existed. The message was clear. Courtiers had better sharpen their elbows and fight their way to the front of the queue. If they wanted to get ahead in life, they had to put in the hours at Versailles.
The nobles were now too busy vying for the king's attention to plot against him, and they weren't allowed to go back to their country seats where they could have fomented rebellion.
It was all part of this strange cult of the Sun King. It's as if Louis used his magnetism to trap his nobles here in the gilded cage of Versailles.